Art basically tells you a truth that history tries to hide. When you look at ancient paintings, ancient drawings, just like the carvings and the stone of Mesopotamia, just like the hieroglyphics, just like painters from Europe and all that, these depictions of certain things sometimes differ from what history tries to tell you. But because they're pieces of art, because they're carved in stone, they cannot change them. They cannot create a lie around them. So if you look at certain pieces of art, you can understand certain truths about our history that was trying to be kept from us. One thing related to the birth of Christ is that there's so many paintings that have come out that actually show a UFO in the sky, an actual UFO.
Oh,
I would...
hey, before we start the episode, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You want to make a comment? Go for it. It's America. If you catch me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit me with those 5 stars. I appreciate the support. Let's start the show. All right. We are back on Beyond the Frequency 369 with the returning champion, Sergio. Welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me back. I'm good. How are you? How's everything?
I'm doing fantastic. I appreciate you coming back to the show. We had a fantastic conversation on the last episode talking about, ancient Egypt and the pyramids and the Anunnaki. And now we want to talk about something that hasn't really changed for a long time, and that's religion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's dive straight into there. Or matter of fact, actually, before we dive into it, for those that are watching this episode and are meeting you for the first time, can you again introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do, and how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. So basically, I host my own podcast. It's called Paradigm Shift with Sergio Halabi. In terms of my background, I'm from Lebanon originally, and I think I've mentioned this before as well. Like, used to be full-on Catholic, Christian, all of that. I understand organized religion, Abrahamic religions in specific, and all. And basically, I started my own podcast after several years of research, and I came to understand that what we've been told might not be the complete truth. There are some missing links, some missing points that we've been deliberately kept from. And the aim of that is to connect the dots, understanding how our ancestors basically understood the world they lived in. How were they spiritually? How were they philosophically? Rekindle that connection to the universe that was taken away from us, and understanding that basically we've been worshipping false gods and false idols, whatever they may be, and that's the point.
Awesome. So Sergio, I'm going to start from the very top. I'm going to ask you a question that a lot of people get uncomfortable, but I don't think you will be. But a lot of folks get uncomfortable when you ask them this question. So here we go. From your experiences, from your knowledge, from your research, and your understanding today, what do you think God is?
Woo! That's it's a good question. I would say, to me, God is the. It's a bit difficult when you say the word God, because it's so associated with a biblical and a religious God. So I would rather move away from that word and use the word creator. And I would see God as a creator, the all-encompassing energy of the universe that is manifesting and witnessing itself through us, through our own experiences. It's basically a creator that is experiencing his own creation. And that to me is where this God or creator exists in everything, everywhere. There is no place where he is not. So we're all part of him, we're all made of him, and we're all back into him.
Man, I love that. And you're right. When it comes to God, see, now that we know what we know, I like to refer to God as source.
Yep.
Source energy,
Yep.
and all these other gods with a lowercase g, a small g,
Yeah.
these are all these, like how you mentioned, these are all these fake, and I'm going to call them people because from from the pictures that we've seen on the hieroglyphs, they got 2 legs, 2 hands, like they put on their pants the same way you and I do.
They're not just people from a physical point of view, by the way. They're also people from their need of attention and their inferiority complexes and their the constant need of security and us to pray for them and us to worship them. I mean, you like if religion takes a step back and wants to describe their gods, they would see they're describing a very, very insecure man-child. You know what I mean? So
a man-child, I love it. Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
He gets angry at you. He wants to punish you if you don't do what he wants. He is judging you all the time. That is not the all-loving creator that was able to create the universe.
Right. And if it's not that creator, then who is it? Right. And that's the question that people don't want to ask the question about. They don't want to think about that. Like we see there's versions in the Bible where it says like, we were made in his image. Mm-hmm. Okay. If we look at it just like that, just simply as we were made in his image, then if we have tantrums, so does he.
Yeah, exactly.
If we are greedy,
me for if that's what you put in me, basically. Like it's you.
Why are you mad at me if you made me just like you? Now you and I know, and other like-minded folks know that, the creator isn't really that. The creator isn't a person. It's not a man. It's not a woman. It's not anything. It just exists,
Exactly.
And, I've mentioned this in many of my podcasts, and I'm just sharing this with you as my guest, but I tell folks that I am a God. I'm not God. Yep. I am a God. Now, why do I say that? I say I am a God because I have a piece of his essence. Yep. You have a piece of his essence. We all, the blade of grass, the tree, the rock, the birds, the wind, every atom that exists is a piece of source energy, because at the end of the day, everything is energy. So so I have no problem saying I am a God. I can create,
What's interesting about that is that even if you look in Christianity, that is basically what Jesus was saying. But the church has taken that and twisted it so much and then told you that, no, if you're thinking like this, it's because you're getting ego, and that ego is coming from the devil. But that's exactly like, if you want to go back to that source book and see what Jesus was saying, he was saying, you have God in you. You can move mountains if you believe it. Even when he was walking on the water, and his disciples looked at him and like they were in shock, he told them, "Why are you surprised? You can do this as well. I am from you, and you are from." Like, he was actually even delivering that message, which is at the source of this, which is we have a particle or an image or a part of God within us, and we are capable of so much more than what we have been told.
So, speaking of Jesus or Yeshua, let's talk about that. So, I ask people this question, because there's people that, I ask people that say they read the Bible and they know it, from front to back, which nobody really knows it from front to back. Because then they would really, they would really see some of the really horrible, horrific things that are in there. Okay,
We don't talk about that.
Read the Bible,
we don't talk about that.
Yeah. We don't talk about that. But if you read the Bible from front to back, you're gonna find out that that God killed so many people.
Yep.
And so even like, let's say, even when he talks about what was that, the Abraham killing his son, right?
Yeah, when he told him that take him to the mountaintop and kill him to test his loyalty,
to test his faith. And then before he does it, what does he do? He says, no. You don't have to do it.
Okay. You proved my point.
Yeah. Now, then he says, now I know that you fear me. What the hell is that about?
That's
what?
See, that is the duality in God that exists, especially in the Old Testament of the Bible. And I know we don't want to get into that too much, but that actually goes back to, because all the stories of the Bible were taken
get into it.
So because all the stories of the Bible were taken from previous religions, right, and previous cultures. So in those cultures, whenever one God would do something, the other God that comes and wants to change that. So, for example, in the tablet of Atrahasis in the Mesopotamian stories, it says about how Atrahasis, which is Noah, basically, from the Bible, that it was one God whose name was Enki, who came to him in a dream and told him, you need to build the ship because there's a flood coming. And the brother of Enki, who is Enlil, was the one who basically wanted to bring an end to humanity and create the flood. So it makes sense from that point of view and that story that one God wanted to destroy humanity and the other God wanted to save them, or at least save a part of them for to survive the flood. In the Bible, it's just the same God who said, let me destroy all of humanity, but also let me talk to one guy and tell him how to save himself and all the animals. You got to, like, that's so ridiculous, because you're showing me a God who can't make up his own mind. And the only reason why it seems like that, it's because they had to go from into a monotheistic religion. So all these different ideas that the gods would be fighting among each other in those cultures had to be in this one God who apparently is fighting his own self by saying, no, I changed my mind. No, now I agree with that.
Yeah. And he's consistently changing his mind throughout a lot of his stories. People, wake up. Wake up. Like stop going to, okay, let me just make sure that I say it correctly. Don't stop going to church. If that's your thing, go to church. But stop just, if you go this Sunday and you listen to your pastor to read you a story, any story in the Bible, listen to it. But then go back home and read it again for yourself without the voice of the pastor. Read it for yourself and see what the inner part of you says. Hey, this part sounds different when I'm reading it. That's where you need to then stop and question that piece. And if you feel like it doesn't make sense, it's because guess what? It doesn't make sense. That's, you are smarter than this.
I completely agree with you.
Sergio.
And even the idea of, like, I'm not against people who need religion or need to believe or have faith in something. You can believe whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Whatever helps. Obviously, we all have coping mechanisms. I have my own coping. You would have your own. So that's not my concern. My concern is what you said exactly, which is once you actually think about these stories for more than 5 minutes, you will see how much it does not align. And I read this once where it says, I don't remember who said it, where it says the only place where you have talking animals and flying, things are in children's stories and in religious books. This is the only two places where these things exist. And there's a reason why religion is taught to us as children, because as adults, your brain cannot accept it. There's no way a person who is an adult who has no concept of religion, which is unlikely, but imagine someone who grew up in a complete vacuum and was told as an adult, oh, there is this and that happened and God created this and all that. He's going to look at you like you're insane. Like there is no part of his brain will accept it. But just like how children accept anything you tell them as truth, they accept religion. And then you grow up into this brainwashed and indoctrinated mentality that's real. Even though there is no other aspect of it that aligns with any form of reality or logic or proof or whatever. It just exists. We accept it as truth, and then we move on.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a fun one, Sergio. I asked this I have fun with people that, especially like let's say nothing against the Jehovah Witness, but when they come up to me and they ask me about, do you know the Lord? I ask them, do you know the Lord?
Nice.
So here's
I like it.
here's my question. I asked them, and I don't know the Bible like other folks do. Okay, I know enough, and whatever I'm interested, I'll look into it, right? But one thing that I found fascinating was that in the Bible, Jesus or Yeshua disappears at 12 years old.
Yep.
Then he's gone. Then he's
And
gone.
he
Then
shows
he
up
comes
at the age
back
of 30.
at
Yes.
30, right? 30, right? So that's my question. I then ask those people, where did he go? And they're
Yep.
like, that's the start. How is it that somebody that you love, that you're following, you miss, I don't know how many years that, I don't know if you could do the math on that, but
Uh,
20, at least 20
18,
years,
18
at least.
years. 18 years.
18 years. Okay.
Yep.
So 18 years, this person that you like, if your father, your mother, your parent left for 18 years, you don't want to know where they went.
And the thing is,
So
as well,
that's the question. Go for it.
emphasize it even more. It's these 18 years are not like, okay, it's not like someone is telling you, oh, we don't know what happened at the start of his life. And then, for example, at 18 years, that's when he started his mission, right? So, okay, you would say there's a childhood we don't talk about, but you're talking about like one of the most important 18 years of your life. Like you're literally growing into an adult, and that's where your entire personality is being formed. Puberty until young adult, and then your early 20s. All of that part of you is missing completely from all the stories.
Yeah, wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah, exactly. And then suddenly you appear at the age of 30, all knowing, all understanding, all this.
Right.
Question.
Right. It doesn't make sense. You would want to know, well, what did he do? So now I throw this back to you, Sergio. From my research, I understand what he did, but I want to know, just to see if we're on the same page, what do you believe or have read or researched that he did between 12 and 30?
I mean, there's definitely many different stories or theories about it. A lot of people say that he went to Egypt. Actually, there are more proofs that he was in Egypt. But what was he doing in Egypt is where the theories differ. But there's a lot of it going around the idea that he went to Egypt and he met with thought, and that's where he learned about the different secrets of the world, secrets of the universe, the laws of the universe, and all of that. There's another theory that he also went to India, for example, and he learned there as well about the different aspects of manifesting and from those ancient religions and all of that. So it seems like there was this like a journey that he went through in terms of research, self-discovery, understanding ancient. To them, it was ancient as well. Ancient thoughts, philosophies, ways of dealing with things. And that's when he came back and basically brought back with him this knowledge to share with the culture that existed, which is a culture that wouldn't have been exposed to that knowledge before. So to them, it was like mind-blowing and completely new.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Sergio. And I'm going to add to that. So from my research, he went to Cairo, Egypt, and he stayed at at the basement of a church. There's I actually had to put it here in my description of exactly, unless you know, Sergio, which church it was that he actually stayed. I don't recall
not familiar,
off the top of my head.
Not familiar.
Okay, but he stayed in a basement, and they actually have it there where they show his bed and where him and his mother and his father stayed. They do tours there, so you guys can see. And then right outside of this church, they even have a small plaque, kind of like a map showing where he went from Egypt, going down to India, to Tibet. In Egypt, like you said, Sergio, he did went to learn the mystic knowledges, right? He learned alchemy, and again, back then it was known as Kemet, right? So,
Yes.
now chem, which is the base word for chemistry, right?
Mhm.
So he learned how to do alchemy. This is why you hear these stories about him changing water into wine and things like
Yes.
that, right? So he
Yes.
understood that. He went
Yes.
down to Tibet, and he also learned the art of Reiki,
Yep.
and this is where he also, learned how to, heal with
Heal.
energy. Did you hear
Yes.
those stories in the
Yes.
in the Bible? Absolutely. So, and then also to India as well. And then he came back, and this is where in the Bible he comes back in the back of a donkey, saying, "I bring my son, out." So now, like you said, Sergio, coming back to your point there, so he comes back to his town
Yeah.
and he starts performing these miracles. But again, he's had 18 years of studying. So
Yes.
Jesus, or Yeshua, let's just say Yeshua, he wasn't a god, he was a student.
Yep.
What happens when you leave your house at 18 and go to college? You learn stuff, right? Or without college, let's just say you just go out into the world and you just learn things. You come back 18 years later to your town and you start telling your friends and family, look what I learned. They're like, wow, how do you know how to do
They're gonna
that?
look at you as a master, basically. So because
Yeah, so
you're
that's
yeah,
exactly what he did, but it was described to us as miracles. It was just
that's what
knowledge. It was
that's what's
technology.
always so interesting to me when it comes to the words that are used in religion. And basically, like you said, so for example, the idea of healing someone through touch or through energy flow, when you go to Tibet and to that region of the world, it's called Reiki, right? But if you come to religion and to Christianity and you call it Reiki, no, that's blasphemy, right? You're a heretic. We don't
Right.
call it like that. We call
Yeah.
it a miracle. But I'm explaining the same thing. I'm just giving you a
Yeah.
different name. I'm not even
Yeah.
changing the description of what he's doing. All I'm doing is giving you that this ancient art of healing existed in that part of the world under that name. But that's where the idea gets stifled and rejected, and you're excommunicated from the church and all of that. What you said is correct, that him coming back to his town and to this entire region brought back knowledge with him, right? To them, this is knowledge that is out of this world. This is knowledge that is coming
Yeah.
from God, because they were not aware that this knowledge exists somewhere else. But this is extremely ancient. This is nothing new that he brought was invented by him, if you want. He literally just brought knowledge from different parts of the world in which other civilizations have lasted for thousands of years, lived on these things. So it's only
Yeah.
new to this region, to this part of the world.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like us knowing how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Exactly. Take it somewhere
It's
to
just
the, yeah. It's the same
to
idea.
them, it's just knowledge.
If you take your own
Uh,
technology now to some tribe in the middle of the Amazon, for
oh, you're
example,
a god.
you're a god,
Yeah.
right? Like that's how they're
Yeah.
gonna see it, because they don't understand what you're bringing. To us,
Yeah.
it's normal. It's everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah. And now the question goes back to why Yeshua? Why him, right?
Yes.
And now from my research, and then I want to hear your point on this too, Sergio, is that he was from birth, he was chosen.
Yeah.
He was chosen. It's in his bloodline. Now, keep in mind, folks, most of you, if you read even the basics of the Bible, at least his story, it would tell you that he was a virgin birth.
Yeah.
All right. A virgin birth today is what? In vitro.
Right.
You
Yes.
know, I
Exactly.
mean, so
Exactly.
so
Yes.
so somehow he was put into this womb and everything. And this is where in my theories, from my understanding, this is from Caesar, is I think that he had some Anunnaki blood in it. When I say Anunnaki, make sure you understand that what I'm saying is that not human. He was part human, but not all the way human. So he had this bloodline in him. And for some reason at the age of 12, he knew that he needed to leave. He was told to, other beings. The point is that he was pulled out to go and say, hey, go continue doing the work that you're here to do. And this is why he was able to, learn. He was what's called an adept initiate. Back when they had the mystic schools in Egypt, they would find humans that had a gift, and Yeshua was somebody that they knew was gifted, and they adapted him into their mystic schools. In translation to what that looks like today is that when you get chosen to be part of a secret society, that's called an adept initiate. Okay, that means that you're being brought in to be, and then you're being told the secrets and the knowledge. So yeah, what are your views on what I just mentioned there?
100%. I agree completely with this. First, your description of the birth from the Virgin is definitely a misunderstanding of a more advanced way to bring in a child that we now know when it comes to in vitro and artificial insemination and all that. And I would add to that as well. Now, you mentioned the whether he had Anunnaki blood. I believe that, or some of my research led me to that he didn't have Anunnaki blood as much as he had Pleiadian blood. So Pleiades were because they were against the Anunnaki and their oppression of humanity and what they did. So they wanted to interfere and start bringing in more knowledge to mankind, and they did it through him and through other masters throughout our history. But like you said, that the Pleiadians are not in the same nature as the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are more three-dimensional beings similar to us, so they need to exist within this realm of reality. The Pleiadians exist within different dimensions, so they can exist within here, they can exist within the fourth dimension as well. So they would have to communicate to us through our own means, which is through different masters or angel-like beings, through voices and stuff like that. That's how they communicate, and that's the belief that this is what happened when it came to Jesus. To add to you saying that he had a sort of like an alien blood in him, or at least it says this is what some would refer to the Star of David as, because the idea was that there was a star, and that's the Star of Bethlehem, and they were telling people to follow the star. It will lead you to the birth of this child, but that star could actually have been just a UFO flying over that region. As simple as that.
There you go. Yeah. That makes more sense to me.
And that is also emphasized and reconfirmed. So I have this thought when it comes to art in general, any form of art, painting, carving, anything you want when it comes to art. Art basically tells you a truth that history tries to hide. When you look at ancient paintings, ancient drawings, just like the carvings and the stone of Mesopotamia, just like the hieroglyphics, just like painters from Europe and all that, these depictions of certain things sometimes differ from what history tries to tell you. But because they're pieces of art, because they're carved in stone, they cannot change them. They cannot create a lie around them. So if you look at certain pieces of art, you can understand certain truths about our history that was trying to be kept from us. One thing related to the birth of Christ is that there's so many paintings that have come out that actually show a UFO in the sky, an actual UFO.
Oh,
I would literally now tell you.
Do you have a name? Do you have a name for any?
So if you look at the painting that is called Baptism of Christ, it's done by Arndt de Gelder. And this is a painting that was done in the 1700s. If you look it up right now, tell me what you see in the sky.
Okay. Let me see here. Go back to the screen now. So for my listeners, this is actually the first episode that I am sharing my screen. So how about that? This is a new thing.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. All right, I think I'm sharing this now. Okay, tell me if you see it.
I see it.
Okay.
So
is this the right one? I see this up here.
You see, yeah. So this was done in the year 1710, and it's supposed to be depicting the baptism of Christ, right? But
okay,
look
I see.
at how
So
what
this
they
is
used to believe
this is him down here.
Yes, and then if you look up at this light, what is it in the sky? It's a UFO.
It's a UFO. Yeah,
It's
it's
a
not a
flying
star.
saucer.
I mean, like if there were stars and this artist was creating this, he would probably put more stars around here somewhere, kind of
Exactly.
spread it out a little bit. But he literally was showing to me a UFO that was maybe even shining a light
Yes.
down, so people can see what's going on. I mean, and then
Can see what's
also think
going
about
on,
this too.
or can see what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
or also to bring importance to this moment. So basically, they
Bring
wanted
importance.
people to actually follow this human, this person, whoever.
Yeah.
And they needed to create basically a form of theatrics around it, that he is a very important, he is from God, he is all of that. So we are shining light on it. This is the same thing. If you it would take you time, but if you just write UFOs in paintings, in ancient paintings, you will see how many UFOs are being depicted in scenes
Probably a
when it
lot.
comes
Yeah.
to Virgin Mary, when it comes to the birth of Christ, the baptism that's here, and so many things throughout. There is so many references to people, to flying. Where I need to find the name of this one, because there's one here that actually looks like someone is sitting inside a UFO, not even.
Oh wow.
Uh,
And while you look that up, I'm gonna make the comment in the painting that we were looking at earlier. They didn't really have I'm thinking this might be at nighttime, so they didn't
yes,
have like
get some light. Exactly.
lights.
Exactly.
Yeah, they didn't have lights. There wasn't like light posts outside or anything like that. So yeah, where is this light coming from? So. And it's funny because in the painting they were depicting the lines coming from this star or UFO,
Yes,
but directly into this. Well, come on now, like let's call it what it is, right? So
that's what I'm saying. That if you look back, there are also ones which about the depiction of the crucifixion of Christ as well. That shows UFOs flying in the sky in the background. So again, we're talking about people back then who, not necessarily during the time of Christ, obviously, but later on, that there was a continuous belief that these beings, or these flying unknown things, existed. So it's not it's not a new belief, by the way. It's not a new theory when it comes
right.
to aliens, or when it comes to these things. It's been suppressed, and it's been ridiculed, and it's been made fun of, but it
That makes
existed
sense.
in our art as well. You look back at paintings inside caves, for example, you see that there are depictions
Yeah.
of humans dealing with creatures that look alien. They actually look like aliens. So
Yeah.
yeah, art basically doesn't lie. It shows you a side of history.
Yeah, and it's now that I think about it, when you were mentioning that, regarding that, how UFOs were present a lot back in those days.
Yeah.
This must have been common to those people. Like to us, it's strange because it's been suppressed, right?
Yes.
But back then, the aliens were guiding and manipulating, depending, if they were good or bad, or whatever the case is, but they were involved in human evolution. So it goes back to what we talked about in the last episode, where we talked about the Atlantean priest king Thoth, how he knew that the Anunnaki interfered with our natural evolution, so they had a responsibility to
Yes.
make sure to guide us, guys. Like, here's agriculture, here's how to do this, here's whatever the case is. There was even, and you may know this name better than I do, but there was, I might say it's Israel or something like that, was some kind of god, but there was an Anunnakian god who taught women how to wear makeup, and also taught like, he basically came and he showed them how to use makeup, and told them that they would look more appealing, more beautiful if they did this. And then also that same god was the one that taught man how to create weapons and armor, because before that knowledge, man didn't know how to mine for the right materials, and then make a sword. And taught men the knowledge of the art of war.
Exactly.
And that's crazy. Taught people how to cut people, how to stab people. These armor planes will protect you. And we can even go into in the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy. It talks about the war of the gods. If you guys look, guys, it's in the King James, right?
Yes,
Sergio?
yes.
Okay, look for it. Okay, I'm not sure, and as you may know this better than I do, but it's in the Bible. Just pull it up, or even go on the internet. Go on Britannica, or go some Bible link and everything. But read the story, the war of the gods. I mean, you think the Marvel cinema is interesting? There was actual wars in space. We're talking about there was even weapons that can destroy a man in 3 planets like away from you. I mean, there were planet destroyers. This is I did read a while back that George Lucas, who is the creator of the Star Wars franchise, he actually in an old interview, he mentioned that he was interested in the Terra Scrolls and Terra Papers. This is where he started reading about all these different alien civilizations, and also about the balance of the good and the bad, which then gave him the idea to create Star Wars. Again, Star Wars. One man didn't just come up with this idea with individual, specific, detailed aliens, and talked about a time where different galactic species were not getting along. He read about this because in that time there was a lot of gods, or with the lowercase g, fighting for territory. What was the territory? Us, human beings.
Exactly. Even in Hindu mythology, there is this the mythology of the Brahmastra, which is it talks about this world-ending weapon that once it was fired, and if you read it, it's literally describing a nuclear weapon. The effects of it are nuclear. Like, it just says that fire will spread and it will make man disappear completely, like from existence, and then it will not leave anything alive after it. So even it will leave lasting, which is all the radioactive waste and all the all of that. So it actually describes a nuclear war that has happened on Earth and in the sky, and it all comes back to this, like you said, this war that happened in the heavens, which ancient people thought it was angels and demons and fighting each other. But again, they were describing something that they were looking at. This is not something that they just made up. See, there's something about humanity and our capability of imagination. You know how, for example, you can't imagine a new color, right? If I tell you, come up with a new color right now, you can't. It has to be based on things that exist already. You can't come up with something that you've not seen before. And it's the same idea when it comes to this, because you're describing about a species that didn't have any, according to history and archaeology, it tells you that they didn't have any knowledge of anything. They were just very simple creatures living on the planet like any other animal. And then suddenly one of them went into a cave and started painting inside the cave. That does not happen. You can't evolve into something like that. You have to have had someone teach you this, or you witnessed someone do that before you, so you do it. There's now this, how like they show some elephants, for example, who are painting with their trunks, or pigs doing something, all that. Now, you look at that, okay, you're not going to think, oh, this elephant is evolving into becoming self-aware. What he's been doing is being exposed to a much advanced civilization and a being that is teaching him how to do these things. You don't know what a million years from now, what's going to happen to these animals, but we have already, we were the catalyst into their evolution. And just like that, there must have been a form of catalyst in our evolution that led us to where we are today. Or else every animal on the planet would have evolved the same way, or would have evolved a form of consciousness and self-awareness and the ability to create art and to do all of that. None of them had that except for us.
Yeah. And makes me also think, like, when it comes to evolution, why is it that humans are the only species on this planet that are not synced with the
Yeah.
Earth.
It's like we
Every
didn't
animal,
evolve on Earth. It's like we didn't evolve on
yeah,
Earth.
it's
So
like,
there's a part of us that did not
yeah,
evolve here. It does not. It doesn't. And I'll add that one thing which I mentioned on other
yeah.
podcasts that I come up with. So I don't know if you've heard this, but it's related to our hair. Have you heard anything related to our evolution of our hair?
About something about it's our extension of our nervous system.
No, I'll tell you what it is. So
Okay.
humans, basically, we are the only species on the planet that have hair that grows up on the top of our head, and it keeps growing until you cut it. It does not stop growing. Right? That
Okay.
seems to be like a genetic malfunction, not an evolutionary trait. Because for something to have existed from an evolutionary trait, and then it reached to a point where you need to create a tool to cut it, that means it did not evolve naturally. You got what I mean?
I didn't think about that. Yeah, because you don't cut animals' hair.
Exactly.
Like,
Nothing.
not
And
like us.
the only animal where you cut its hair or its wool is a sheep. But the sheep has been genetically manipulated into this. Original sheep didn't do that. We, as an advanced civilization, have crossbred them and changed their DNA over so many years that we have made them grow their wool, and it keeps growing. Our hair is the only thing that keeps growing uncontrollably and unnaturally, and it has no evolutionary benefit to us to do that. Zero. Nothing like that.
Doesn't.
Which means that there
just
is
costs us more money.
Exactly. Which means that there is some form of genetic manipulation that has happened to us on some level that has created this defect within our body, which comes out in the hair. And if you see, and I know that we're going back to a previous episode, but if you see the depictions of the Anunnaki when they were on Earth, they all had long hair and long beards. That's their trait. They looked very human-like, which is what we would say that our traits came from them, or part of the DNA came from them, from how much excessive their hair was, and it was mixed with the original. No other, even within our line of ancestors, in terms of the sapiens, no other animal has hair the way we do. We all grow hair just enough to be okay with our environment, to keep us warm. Even a modern man has a lot less hair than before because we're no longer exposed to the wild. So we've already evolved there, and already we are shedding our hair, and yet the one that's on our head still growing uncontrollably.
Well, our body as is, we're not made to survive in the wild. Which is weird. Everything else outside of humans is meant to survive in its environment.
Yes.
To survive in the cold, we have to wear jackets.
Yes.
You know.
If you go out in the sun for too long, you develop skin cancer. How did we evolve on a planet where sun is so abundant, and we should have already been okay with that? Now we can't even go out because it will hurt us. Which means it will hurt us. There is a part of our DNA that did not evolve on Earth. It's a very, very clear thing.
Well, this is why when we go back to the creation of humanity, the essence of the Anunnaki was put into the hominid species, like you explained before, and then Adapa or Adam or the first Adamu was created and everything. But yeah, we
are also, by the way,
not really from here.
We are also the only species that are born prematurely. A baby cannot survive on its own because a baby is born in 9 months after growing in the womb. It's supposed to be growing for 12 months, not 9 months. So any animal on the planet that is born, the baby can survive. Yes, it will be a bit
they stand up and everything.
They stand up, they start walking. We can literally don't do anything. We will die if there is no one that's taking care of us. That's also another genetic defect because in the Anunnaki stories as well, there is a story about how when the DNA was mixed with the Anunnaki, it actually grew in one of the goddesses' womb. And because they would give birth within 9 months, that's why we were given birth. We have that trait as well,
Right.
which goes against our natural instinct to survive.
I wonder, Sergio, I want your opinion on this, and this probably has not too much research behind it, but I wonder our cousins, the hominid species before, us.
Yep.
If we weren't genetically modified, would we be what they call today Bigfoot?
I I would say actually, I don't know if we would be that, or we would have stopped, like we would have gone extinct. Because I believe that the fact that our species was given basically an upgrade, that's why we were able to fight off and survive the others, and all of them went into extinction except for us. We had
that's
an
true.
advantage. You know,
that's
so
true.
I feel
That's
like
true.
that's
So something,
why, yeah. We were taught, like you said, how to go to war. We were taught how to domesticate animals, agriculture, all of that. That gave us this advantage over them. So we were able to kill them off, and then we were the only ones that survived.
Or maybe some of them went underground. I mean, I don't know, because I wanna assume that there's a possibility that these, everything that lives wants to survive. Sure. So even though we had the upgrade, and there was only a few of us, it's not like they converted every hominid species on the planet at a time. They only a few of us. So the rest of them, they were, I mean, if they, for the ones that are found with the larger craniums and, larger pineal gland, just like animals, if they were synced and they were connected to the electromagnetic field of the planet, and they knew where danger was and whatnot. I mean, when this big flood happened, right? When this big flood happened and wiped out so many humans, these other hominid species, they had to go the same place where the animals went, underground or whatever. So I think our cousins still exist. We just, we don't know. And maybe they even surpassed us. Who are we to say that we are the most advanced beings on the planet? Well, you and I know that that's no longer true, because if there's aliens here, then we are, we're still, they allow us to think that we're still on top, but we're not, and everything.
And also don't forget that the advancement doesn't need to be, for it to be defined as an advancement, doesn't need to be a technological advancement using tools.
Yes.
So perhaps that these species have evolved in a more spiritual way that actually gets them to do things that we cannot do, because we've been so blocked and suppressed. And like you said, the pineal glands and all of that. So, and that fits into, another theory, which may be a third episode if you want, about the whole Earth theory and how.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a different episode.
That's what I'm saying. So it fits.
I love that. I love that you know that too, though.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, that fits with what you're saying. Just to say it briefly, that it's a lot of these species went underground and then stayed underground and developed their own civilization there. I mean, it still exists till now.
I want to make a point to the listeners and the viewers that as you guys are following along with this conversation, I want you guys to maybe notice one thing. Sergio is in the Middle East, and I'm over here on the west side of society and everything, and we shared the same thoughts, beliefs, or understanding in this case of our world, of our reality, and we've never spoken.
Right.
I want you guys to know that we haven't really ever, we have not shared between the last episode and this episode is the first time that we're sharing these. So if we're doing it this way, that easy, imagine how difficult it was for the cultures back then who didn't have technology to be able to replicate the same exact structures and to have the same knowledge from miles across the water. You have to ask yourself the most simplest question. it couldn't, was it really them? Did the humans really talk to each other? How?
Yeah.
You gotta, again, I always say, wake up, wake up,
Yeah.
ask these questions.
And even if you don't want to paint it under the umbrella of aliens, for example, even if you want to say that there was advanced civilization, let's say they were human, let's say whatever, there is definitely they used to communicate with each other in ways that we don't understand, in ways that's not how we were taught. Because regardless of who they were, like you said, they were across the globe, you will find the same symbols, the same designs, the same ideas of how the world was created, of that there was a flood, that there's an advanced civilization. Everything it's follow across oceans and across lands that should not have known that the others exist, and yet they share these ideas. Like, I don't know if you've heard of what they call the handbag of the gods. Like this.
Tell me about that, because
Yeah.
I've seen so many pictures of them. But talk to me about that.
So that is not, if you just go online and this is for anyone who's listening, and if you research just the handbag of the gods, you will see how there is this depiction, the symbol of a handbag that is being carried by virtually every god that has ever been depicted across the globe. I'm talking across the globe, whether it was 10,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago. Everyone is holding this bag, and no one understands what is the meaning of it, or why it is there, or how is it even possible for these civilizations that supposedly never contacted each other to have the same replication of it. This is the one.
Yeah.
And
if you see that.
if you put, let me just tell you what to search for. So if I put
here's a good one right here.
Depiction. One that should show. This was, for example, this is in Ecuador, by the way. This is not in Mesopotamia. It's in Ecuador. Imagine
the one that I have up.
The one that you have up with the head of like a bird and a beak. This is not in Mesopotamia. This is in Ecuador.
All right, we should be able to see it.
So see here, the one on the left is from a monument called Göbekli Tepe, which is in Turkey.
Yeah.
And there's 3 of them at the top, this symbol of the bag. And the one in the middle is held by the god Enlil, because he has those wings, and that's from Iraq in Mesopotamia. The one on the left, the right all the way, is actually from an Aztec representation, which is in in Latin America. That to add to the one that you showed.
And what's in there? So what's in the bags?
No one knows. We don't know. We just know that every time there is a depiction of a god, that they would be holding one of these bags. Even though different cultures had different designs, for example, but they all represented in the same way. They all have that exact same squarish side, and then the handle on the top.
Well, let's see if this makes any sense to you. So on this middle one here, do you see how we showed the like this, like a pine cone?
Yes.
Right.
The pine cone is also.
We see this a lot. Yeah. Now let me see if I'm going to tell you what my research has led me down to, and see if maybe you also went down this same rabbit hole as well. But this is a pine cone, and I've seen this many times being passed down to smaller people, smaller humans. And I ask, why are they passing down a pine cone? And then my research led me to, if you look at the pineal gland, if it opens up, it actually looks like a pine cone. So I believe this is a metaphor of them passing down knowledge. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. That is definitely a representation of this knowledge. But also,
passing down knowledge.
On top of that, I would tell you to go search for, just type Fontana della Pina, which is a fountain inside the Vatican.
Fontana
della, Della, and then Pigna.
Okay, I think I found it right
This
here.
first one.
Okay,
And,
so this
and what
thing.
does that look like to you?
Oh man, that is a giant pine cone.
Yeah. That's the giant pine cone in the middle of the Vatican pushing for.
Oh,
They are,
that confirms exactly what I'm just thinking about. They
yes.
know, they understand the symbolic meaning of this sculpture, because why not a pineapple or an apple or an orange or anything? And what about the peacocks? I know
Even
there's a
if you
symbolism behind
even
these.
if you type if you go back and search for Pope and pinecone, just put Pope and pinecone.
Yep. Oh, I think I might understand where you're going with this Pope. And does he have this on his scepter, on his
Oh, he
staff?
does. See, there it is. Even Pope
Here
Francis
on the
has it, like in the second photo as well. He's holding the
here.
under the cross. Yeah, you can see the pine cone. There it is, exactly where the mouse is now. Cursor.
Okay. Is
That's
it
the
down
pine cone.
here?
It's the one
Okay.
he's holding in his hand.
Okay. Dang, why does it keep going somewhere else? Well, I mean, look, they're actually trying to show
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pineal gland stuff. But anyways, but yeah, we get it.
But
We
you
get
get
the
the
point on
method,
that one.
right?
But
Like you
yeah,
get it. Like it's like you're saying
yeah,
that these people know certain, the cheat codes. They know the truth. They know the symbolism behind all this, and they maintain it till now. Which is, imagine like telling this to a Christian and having him actually look into it. Like you are actually
yeah,
using the symbols that were used in previous religions. So
yeah.
please try to understand the meaning
Yeah,
behind
so
it.
now I think that people now that have listened to this, that weren't aware of this, now that you know, now this is why I question to the listeners and the viewers. Now that you have this information, or these concepts, or these ideas, or these, let's call them theories, if some of you prefer that, what do you do with this knowledge now? What do you do with it? We've given you something to think about. So when you go back to your religious establishments and you start seeing symbols, even if it's not a pine cone, even if it's not a bag, if you just start seeing symbols and you're like, hey, you know what? I never noticed why there's this particular bird here or this
Yes.
particular shape.
Yep.
Ask the question and then see what they respond. And then
Yep.
and if they don't know directly what it is, you're going to get two options. Option one is they're going to give you some bullshit,
Yep. Yep.
you know, or two, they're going to tell you that's not important. They're going to tell you because God said so.
Exactly. That's
So,
the
hey,
all
so then I want,
answer for everything.
yeah. And then I want you guys to then ask that person, which God?
Oh damn.
Which,
Yeah, that's the problem with those people who are giving you these answers, right? So
uh,
it's two things with these answers. Either they don't know
yeah,
or they're
yeah,
lying to you. And in both
yeah.
situations, I think it's very bad for them to be in a position to give you answers. You got me?
Yeah, they
Because
start
there's only one
sweating.
truth.
Look for them to start sweating.
Exactly. Exactly. Ask them why is the pine cone so important that you have to have it on a fountain inside the Vatican? Where did that come
Yeah, and
from,
why
for
so
example?
big?
Why so
Why so
big?
big? It's so funny.
Exactly. Yep.
Sergio, you and I can talk forever about this
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and we will. One more time, let everybody again, if they missed it the first time, or actually the first two times,
Yeah.
see if they if you could pass that information so they can get a hold of you.
Sure. So basically, I have my own podcast, which can be found on all channels, any app. It's called Paradigm Shift with Sergio Halabi. And I also have an Instagram page where I create the topics that I do on my podcast, but they're more of a visual representation of them. So you can, go through that as well. And you can talk to me there on Instagram, DM me, contact me. I always love to, meet people, discuss things and all of that. So, yep, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And then any last words for the audience?
I think I just want to confirm what you said, because I really like what you said about people asking questions, and I think I did that also in the previous episodes. whatever you hear, whatever, even what from this conversation today and others later on, always do your own research, always look into things, ask questions, ask why the world is the way it is, ask why these people are in power, what are the symbolism that they're shoving in your face, what do they mean, why are they there, try to understand where we have come from. Yeah, and that's to me is a very important thing, that once we know where we came from, our importance, our power, that's when we can, change this. And that's why I called my podcast Paradigm Shift, actually, because I want to shift the paradigm. I want to change it. That we need to be, at the forefront of something like this. So, just ask questions, and believe me, the answers will come. Believe me.
Absolutely. I love that, Sergio. And yeah, we need to be our own advocators of the truth.
Yes.
Stop letting people tell you what the truth is. Why don't you, what makes them more knowledgeable to you? Just
Exactly.
a quick example. You, again, going back to church, you go back to church and the pastor has the same book that you have right in front of you, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, do I need to say any more? You have the same book. All right. So again, read it. And I do it myself. If I'm reading something and I don't understand something, I ask the question. But the key thing is asking it to the right people. That's the key. Sometimes that's a little bit hard, because even people that you respect may not have all the answers, and not saying that they're wrong or stupid or anything. They just don't know. So don't depend. Stop praying to people and say, I need help. Why I can't pay my bills, or why is everybody treating me bad? Stop looking out into the universe and start looking into the inverse.
Yes.
Inverse.
Yes.
Start looking at yourself. And how do you do that? Meditate.
Yep.
Meditate. Start learning to have a conversation with yourself. And then,
yes.
And then that's where the magic happens, right, Sergio?
That is exactly where the magic happens. It's literally magic. It works. I've seen it. It's happened with me. I've seen it in other people as well. It's just like you said, with the magic of bringing people together. Like, I'm on the other side of the world from you, and yet we have almost the same experiences. We have the same thoughts. We once we started asking questions, once we went into this rabbit hole, we all reached the same conclusion. You got me? That
conclusion. Exactly.
What is the magic
and
here?
They don't want us to do that, right? Yep. They don't want us to. They don't want us. This is what you said on the last one. They break us up. Starting from the story of Babylon. So if you guys haven't done it, do your research, read the story. It's good, but they change our languages. And somehow, for this example, Sergio and I found a way to communicate. And look where we're at. We're in peace. I don't have a problem with him. We're not in war, right? We're just exchanging information. So they don't want us to do that. So they changed our languages. They separated us. They gave us kings, to rule us, and then make them in not his image, but in their image. So I look the way that I look based off of whoever was ruling, people that look like me and Sergio this way, the Asians, the everybody, right? There's a story. There's, if somebody who is not, I'm not a huge college student. I didn't get a degree in all of this and stuff. All I did was research. I researched information that, guess what, people? It's out there.
Exactly.
They're not hiding it.
Exactly.
They're not hiding it, but they know that we are so lazy to look for it ourselves.
We're lazy. We're being distracted by constant conflict and division and issues. And what do they say? They have you fight a cultural war, so you don't fight a class war, right? Because they are the real enemy. They are the ones who are benefiting from all this, but they just throw these differences at us so that we keep fighting among each other and we keep being distracted. And like you said, all the information is out there. All you have to just read it. Just read it. That's it.
Just read it.
And you'll get to the same conclusion.
It's a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
You get the same conclusion, and then you make your own determination whether to you it's bullshit or you're like, that makes sense.
Yep.
Because it does. It makes a lot more sense than mainstream information. And with that being said, again, Sergio, thank you so much again for this part 2. We're gonna have a part 3, 4, 5, 6 moving forward. So I'm very excited about that. For you listeners, again, if you're seeing me or on Spotify, give me the 5 stars. The algorithm helps me out to spread this information and have other people like-minded to listen to this content and discern, what reality are they actually in. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, share it with at least one person, 2, 3, 4. Hey, have a party. Watch this with a group of friends. Have a conversation with your family and your friends about what we talked about. If there's questions that you guys agreed or disagreed, by all means, it's write in the comments. Send me an email. Send Sergio an email. We'll have a conversation with you. This is, we are planting a seed, and we're going to let it grow. And that's up to you. Whether you water it or not, that is up to you to water your own plant. We just put the seed there, and that's it. So with that being said, continue asking these questions. Question what is currently known and push that limit beyond the frequency.